Welcome to Night Stories, where shadows whisper, nightmares crawl, and every tale drags you deeper into the dark. If you dare to listen, leave the lights off and let the night begin. The message came just after dusk, when the trees had turned to silhouettes and the air had the sharp metallic bite of coming rain. Mara saw the glow first, her phone buzzing in the pocket of her jacket. They'd been walking for hours, the trail narrowing into something more like a deer path than anything meant for human feet, so the vibration startled her. No one had had service since yesterday. She pulled it out, expecting maybe a queued-up weather alert finally pushing through. Instead, "Don't follow the lights, they're not real." It was from Callum. Her throat tightened. She stopped dead, the others bunching up behind her. "What is it?" Theo asked, his voice already brittle, already carrying too much edge. Mara turned the screen toward them. In the deepening blue, the glow of it looked like something alive, pulsing in her palm. They read it. One by one, their expressions shifted. Jonah swore under his breath, "That's sick." But it wasn't sick. It wasn't a prank. Because Callum's phone had been found 3 days ago, shattered at the bottom of a ravine, along with the rest of him. The forest pressed in around them, and suddenly the quiet was loud. Branches creaking, unseen insects buzzing, the faint drip of water down stone. Nobody said anything. Finally, Mara slid the phone back into her pocket, as if covering it could undo the words. "We keep moving," she said. Her voice came out steady, though inside her ribs everything felt unmoored. The trail curved downward, weaving between moss-slick boulders. Their boots sank into mud that sucked and released with a sound too close to breathing. Jonah carried the map, folded and sweat soft, but he hadn't checked it in miles. They were going by instinct now, the compass needle jittering in the dim light. Theo was the first to break the silence. "It's impossible," he muttered. "Even if someone got hold of his SIM card, there's no way it'd ping out here. No towers." "Maybe it queued," Jonah offered weakly. "Like he sent it before he fell and it only just delivered." Mara didn't bother to answer. She knew the timestamp. It was marked tonight, 10 minutes ago. Behind her, Leah walked slow, dragging one boot a little. She'd twisted her ankle that morning, but insisted she could keep going. Her face was pale now, her eyes darting from shadow to shadow as if she'd been waiting for this, the moment when the forest showed its teeth. The light died fast. The last smear of sunset sank behind the ridge, leaving them inside a darkness so thick it felt textured, almost damp. They switched on their headlamps, pale beams carving tunnels through black. And that was when Mara saw it, not far ahead, a flicker, small, white, like someone holding a lantern swaying between trees. She froze. Theo followed her gaze, his breath catching. Finally, a cabin or camp. But Jonah stepped up beside them, shaking his head. "There's nothing marked out here. Look." He shoved the map toward the glow. "It's blank, just forest." Still the light pulsed. Once, twice, a beckoning rhythm. Mara's phone burned in her pocket. "Don't follow the lights." Her mouth felt dry. "We stick to the trail," she said firmly. Theo made a noise halfway between a laugh and a snarl. "We've been sticking to the trail all day, and we're still lost. Maybe someone can help us." "No one lives out here." Leah's voice was low, trembling. "It's wrong." The argument thickened the air, their voices bouncing oddly, as if the trees were leaning closer to listen. And beneath it all was that other sound, barely there, almost imagined. A faint, wet dragging. Something moving just beyond the edge of the lamplight. Mara raised her voice. "We stay together, that's it. No splitting, no shortcuts, we keep walking." But the light had already shifted. It had drawn closer, though no footsteps marked its approach. One moment it was far ahead, and the next it hovered just beyond reach of their lamps. A glow without source. Leah whimpered. Jonah hissed, "Okay, we go now," and shoved forward, the group stumbling after. The forest grew stranger the deeper they went. Branches arched overhead like ribs. The mud turned slicker, rank with rot. Their beams caught shapes that looked like faces. Stumps carved by fungus, knots of bark twisted into gaping mouths. The light drifted ahead, always just far enough to keep them chasing. Mara tried not to look at it. She focused on her boots, One step, then the next. Her hand curled around the phone in her pocket. She could almost feel Callum's voice bleeding through it, a warning too late. Her mind kept circling back to him. How he'd always been the reckless one, the first to leap across streams, to scale rocks without a rope. She remembered the search team's faces when they told them. How they said he must have slipped in the rain. How the fall shattered every bone. But if he was gone, then who had sent the message? Behind her, Leah stumbled. She let out a soft cry, then muffled it with her sleeve. Theo cursed and went to steady her, but Mara caught a different sound. A laugh, thin, dry, coming from the dark to their right. She swung her lamp that way. Nothing but trees. But the laugh came again, lower now, followed by whispering, too faint to make out. The light ahead pulsed once more, brighter as if waiting. Jonah was shaking his head, muttering to himself. We shouldn't be here. We should have turned back yesterday. The forest didn't care. The forest kept swallowing their words whole, and then Mara's phone vibrated again. She yanked it out, heart hammering. Another message, same sender. Look behind you. She turned. The others did too, their lamps cutting through black. For a heartbeat there was nothing. Just mud and endless trees. Then all at once every beam caught on the same thing. A second light, not ahead but behind. Much closer. The second light was wrong. It didn't sway gently like the first. Didn't hover as though held by an unseen hand. It burned steady, white and cold, no more than 20 feet away. It illuminated nothing. The ground around it remained in shadow, the trees untouched. It was as if the glow existed only for itself. Theo swore and raised his lamp higher, as if brute brightness might drive it away. Who's there? His voice cracked on the last word. No answer. Leah clutched Jonah's arm. It's closer, she whispered. It's closer than it should be. Mara's phone buzzed again in her palm. The sound was tiny, but in the silence it cut like a blade. She didn't want to look. Every muscle screamed not to, but she did. Don't let it touch you. Her mouth went dry. She shoved the screen toward them. Jonah made a strangled sound, half disbelief, half terror. That's not how, he stammered. But Theo was staring at the second light, jaw clenched. We move, he said. Now. We don't wait to see what it wants. They lurched forward, boots squelching, lights bobbing. Branches clawed at their jackets. The first glow still drifted ahead, leading them deeper, but Mara refused to follow it. She kept her eyes on the faint track beneath their feet, the mud-darkened imprint of where hikers had passed long ago. The trail still existed. She clung to that. But the second light followed, not always visible. Sometimes it winked out for a breath, but then it was there again, closer than before, sliding between trees without a sound. The forest seemed to lean in around them, funneling them forward. The air grew heavy, damp with moss and something sour, like meat gone bad. Mara's lamp beam wavered, catching only glimpses. Bark that seemed to ripple, roots that looked like fingers stretching toward them. They pushed faster. Leah stumbled, Theo dragging her upright. Jonah muttered fragments of prayers under his breath. His map crumpled in his fist. Mara's mind returned, unwilling, to Callum. His grin when he dared them across that first ravine. His laugh echoing through the pines. How his body had looked when they found him, or what they'd let her see. The search captain hadn't wanted her to get too close. The phone buzzed again. She stopped moving. She couldn't help it. She opened the message. It's not behind you anymore. Her stomach dropped. She snapped her head around. The light was gone. Not behind them. Not anywhere. Theo's lamp swung wildly, scanning. Where did it go? His voice was harsh, panicked. Leah whimpered, clutching at her ankle as though it might ground her. I don't want to be here. I can't. Mara's own voice surprised her, low and sharp. Shut up, everyone shut up. And in that moment of stillness they heard it. Not footsteps, something else. The scrape of something dragged across bark, the faint rustle of leaves shifting where no wind stirred. A sound that seemed to move around them, circling. Mara felt her breath snag in her chest. Keep walking, she whispered. They obeyed, though every step seemed louder than the last. The trail began to climb, winding up between slabs of stone slick with lichen. Their lamps struck the rock in jagged flashes. Leah struggled, nearly sobbing, Theo half carrying her. Jonah moved faster, almost jogging. as if speed could outrun the dark. But Mara slowed. She didn't mean to. Something in her legs betrayed her, making her pause. She turned her lamp back down the slope. At first she saw nothing. Then movement, a figure or the impression of one, darker than the dark, standing where the second light had been. She couldn't see its face, only the outline, long arms, head tilted. Still, utterly still, though she knew it had been moving seconds before. Her lamp trembled in her hand. "Mara!" Jonah hissed, already higher up. "Come on!" She forced herself to move, dragging her feet forward. She didn't dare look back again. They reached a ledge just wide enough to stop. The trees thinned, revealing the drop on one side, the forest falling away into black. The air was cooler here, wind slipping through cracks in the stone. Theo set Leah down, his face damp with sweat. She curled in on herself, whispering, it's wrong, over and over. Jonah kicked at the dirt, muttering, "We're going in circles. We're following something that doesn't exist. We're not even on the map anymore." "Stop," Mara said sharply. "No, listen to me," Jonah snapped, his voice breaking. "There's no trail, you know that, right? It's been gone for hours." And Mara realized he was right. She'd been focusing on her boots, on the ground. But when she thought about it, she couldn't remember the last time she'd seen a marker or a cut path, or even the right kind of wear in the mud. They weren't on a trail at all. The thought pressed into her chest like a stone. Theo wiped his face with his sleeve. "We rest here, just for a minute." But Mara couldn't rest. She pulled her phone again. No new messages. The battery was nearly gone, the screen faintly dim. She thought of Callum, the way he used to tell stories around the fire, making up legends about the woods, about voices that could mimic your friends, about lights that would lead you off cliffs. He'd always smirk after, proud of scaring them. And now she wondered, had those stories been his or had he heard them from someone else? Jonah's voice cut into her thoughts. "Mara, look." He was pointing down the slope into the endless trees. The first light had returned. It wasn't ahead of them anymore. It was below, directly below, as if it had circled while they climbed. And this time there wasn't just one. Dozens of lights flickered between the trees, all moving, all swaying gently, like lanterns, like torches in invisible hands. One by one they began to rise up the slope toward them. The lights climbed, not hurried, not stumbling. They rose with the steady, patient rhythm of something that knew time belonged to it. Each glow shifted independently, yet together they gave the impression of a slow procession, like a crowd approaching a gallows. Leah clamped both hands over her mouth to smother a scream. Theo's arm locked around her shoulders, his jaw set so tight Mara thought it might crack. Jonah shook his head in disbelief, mumbling, "Not possible, not possible." He dropped the map. It fluttered uselessly against the stone before sliding off the ledge into darkness. Mara didn't move. She watched the lights draw closer, each one bobbing slightly, as if balanced in unseen palms. Her chest felt hollow. Theo broke the silence. "They're people," he said hoarsely. "They have to be, locals, rangers, someone." "No one lives out here," Leah rasped. Her eyes were wide, fever bright. "You said it yourself." Theo shook her. "Then what are they? You want to tell me we're being followed by what, ghosts?" The word rang sharp in the air, too loud. It sounded childish and yet wrongfully certain. Jonah crouched suddenly, pulling off his pack and rifling through it with shaking hands. "We need a flare. Something. We signal them, we'll know. If they come closer, they're real. If not..." "If not what?" Mara asked. But Jonah didn't answer. His hands kept moving, frantic. The lights kept climbing. Mara's phone buzzed again, sudden and shrill in the night. She jolted, fumbling for it, hating herself for wanting to see. "Don't trust them." Her stomach dropped. She lifted her eyes slowly to the group. Theo's lamp flickered across his face. His eyes were bloodshot, his hand white-knuckled around Leah's shoulder. Jonah was still digging, his breath ragged, muttering under his breath like a man praying. Leah just stared at Mara, lips parted, expression unreadable. "Don't trust who?" Theo snapped, noticing the phone in her hand. "What now?" Mara showed him. The silence stretched. "Bullshit," Theo said flatly. "It's you. You're doing this." The accusation hit her like a slap. "What? You think I'm blind? You're the only one getting these messages, no one else, and they just happen to know exactly what's happening to us? He jabbed a finger toward the slope. Convenient. Jonah looked up at that, his face pale, uncertain. Mara's throat burned. Why the hell would I make this up? Callum's... She stopped herself, biting down on the word. Callum's dead. Theo saw the hesitation, his eyes narrowed. Unless he isn't. Leah spoke for the first time in minutes, her voice cracked and raw. Stop. She tugged weakly at Theo's arm. Please, don't fight. Not now. But something had shifted. The balance between them, frayed and fragile, tore a little wider. Jonah straightened slowly, an orange flare clutched in his hand. We light it, he said, his voice low but firm. If they're people, they'll call back. If they're not. He didn't finish. He struck the flare. It hissed, then roared alive, flooding the ledge with burning orange. Shadows jerked back, trees twisted into black silhouettes. The lights below froze. For a heartbeat, nothing moved. Then together they swayed once, twice, like heads nodding, and began to climb faster. Jonah swore, the flare trembling in his grip. No, 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 no! Theo dragged Leah to her feet. We're going higher, come on! They scrambled up the ridge, stones crumbling under their boots. The flare threw wild light across the rocks, revealing jagged cracks, roots slick with moss. The air felt thinner here, each breath burning. But Mara's thoughts were tangled, the phone still clenched in her hand. Don't trust them, don't follow the lights, don't let it touch you. Every warning circling in her skull until she could hardly tell whose voice it was anymore. They crested another ledge, this one wider, bordered by a wall of trees. The flare sputtered, shadows jerking wildly. Leah collapsed again, sobbing now, her ankle bent at an unnatural angle. Theo knelt beside her, his lamp shaking. She can't go on like this, he said. She'll die out here. No one's leaving anyone, Mara snapped. Theo's eyes cut to hers, sharp and suspicious. Funny. You suddenly sound like you're in charge. Because someone has to be. The words tore out before she could stop them. The flare died, hissing down to smoke. Darkness rushed back, swallowing them. And then, impossibly close, a light bloomed between the trees. Not below, not behind. Just ahead. It swayed slowly, the way the first had, as if waiting for them to notice. Jonah let out a strangled sound, gripping the dead flare like a weapon. It's here. Theo's lamp beam cut toward the glow. But the light didn't retreat. It pulsed brighter, stronger, until it drowned the lamp completely. And in its white burn, Mara saw a shape. A figure standing among the trees. Not Callum. But close enough that for a heartbeat her chest thought it was. The figure didn't move. It stood in the center of the glow, its edges blurry, eaten by the light. Too far to see the face, but close enough that Mara's chest clenched with recognition. An echo of Callum's stance, the way he used to tilt his head when teasing her. Her throat locked. Callum? Theo whipped his head toward her, fury flashing in his eyes. Don't! I saw... You didn't see anything! He surged forward, dragging Leah with him, lamp beam jerking wildly across the trees. It's not him. He's dead. But the figure lifted an arm, slowly, palm open like a greeting, or a beckon. Leah whimpered. Her nails dug into Theo's sleeve. It looks like him, she whispered. Jonah snapped. Shut up, all of you. His voice shook with the weight of something breaking. He raised the useless flare as if it were a knife. It's not him. It's never him. Don't you get it? It wants us to think it is. The words settled over them like ash. Mara's phone buzzed again. Her hand shook as she raised it. He's not alone. The sound of branches breaking answered the message. Not from the glow ahead, behind them, to the side. All around. Lights bloomed in the trees, one after another, until the ridge was ringed in white orbs. Circle, closing. Theo spun, panic raw in his face. We move now. Jonah blocked him, flare raised. Where? Into that? He jabbed toward the lights. That's what they want. Theo shoved him hard. Jonah stumbled back, boots skidding on loose rock. He caught himself barely. His eyes glinted in the lamplight. Wild, fevered. You want to trust her? He spat, pointing at Mara. You ever notice how the messages always come right before something happens? She's leading us into it. Just like Callum. The accusation was a blade. Mara staggered back as if struck. That's not true. Prove it, Jonah snarled. Hellboy dropped the phone. The demand hit her chest like a hammer. Her hand tightened around it instinctively. The phone was the only thread, the only thing tethering her to something that felt like warning, like guidance. Without it, she had nothing. Theo's voice cut through, ragged. Do it, end this. Mara's eyes flicked between them. Jonah trembling with fury. Theo breathing hard, one arm still braced around Leah, his face caught between rage and desperation. Leah herself, pale and silent, tears streaking her cheeks. The forest leaned in, listening. Her phone buzzed again. She looked down. Don't drop me. Her breath caught, not don't drop it, don't drop me. Theo lunged. Instinct overrode thought. Mara spun, clutching the phone to her chest, and Theo's hand closed on empty air. His momentum carried him past her, skidding dangerously close to the ledge's edge. Stones clattered down into the dark. Stop! Leah screamed, the sound jagged and raw. Jonah moved, fast, too fast. The flare cracked against Theo's shoulder, a brutal, desperate strike. Theo cried out, staggered, but didn't fall. He turned, rage exploding out of him, and drove Jonah back with both hands. The flare tumbled to the ground, useless. Mara shoved herself between them. Stop it, both of you! But they didn't stop. Jonah's fist connected with Theo's jaw. Theo roared and slammed him into the rock wall. Leah sobbed, covering her ears. And all around them the light swayed closer. Mara's phone buzzed again, insistent. She tore her eyes from the fight long enough to look. Choose. Her stomach turned cold. She glanced back up. Theo's hand was on Jonah's throat, pinning him. Jonah clawed at his grip, choking, his eyes rolling toward her in a silent plea. Leah was trying to crawl away, dragging her ruined ankle. But the lights were waiting, swaying like lanterns held by patient hands. Mara's pulse thundered. Choose. Her voice tore out, hoarse. Stop, you're killing him. Theo didn't stop. His eyes had gone glassy, far away, as if he wasn't fighting Jonah anymore. But something else, something the forest had poured into him. Jonah's lips parted, gasping for air. His free hand clawed at the ground, reaching blindly toward Mara. The lights flared brighter, the circle tightening. Her phone buzzed once more. If he dies, it opens. What opens? She whispered. But there was no answer. Just the pounding of blood in her ears, the rasp of Jonah's failing breath, Leah's sobbing, Theo's guttural snarl. The forest seemed to shiver, every tree leaning closer. And then Jonah's body went slack. Theo's hand dropped away. He stumbled back, chest heaving. His lamp beam wavered across the ground, across Jonah's still face. The lights surrounding them flared in unison, blazing so bright Mara had to shield her eyes. Somewhere deep in the forest something groaned. Long, low, ancient. The sound of stone tearing open. The sound rolled through the forest, deeper than thunder, vibrating through stone and bone. The ledge trembled beneath their boots. Leah screamed, covering her head. Theo staggered back, face pale in the blaze of light, his eyes darting wildly. Jonah lay still. The light swayed closer, their glow now so bright the forest seemed drowned in it. But the brightness didn't comfort. It seared. It stripped. The glow revealed too much. The trees bending in ways no tree should. Their trunks warped, bark blistered like burned flesh. Shapes shifted between them, indistinct, as if the light itself carried shadows inside it. And then Mara saw the fissure, not in the ground, not in the cliff, but in the air. A crack, jagged and black, splitting the space just beyond the circle of lights. It widened with a noise like teeth grinding. The air pulled toward it, tugging at her clothes, her hair, her breath. If he dies, it opens. The phone had warned her, too late. Leah clawed toward her on hands and knees, sobbing. Close it, please, close it. Mara clutched the phone tight. Her hands shook, sweat slick on the screen. She didn't know how. She didn't know if she could. Her thumb brushed the glass. Another message appeared, sudden, as if it had been waiting. You have to give it back. The words stabbed cold. Give what back, she whispered. But she already knew. Callum. The fissure yawned wider. Something moved inside it. Not a figure, not yet. Just motion, like muscles twisting in darkness. A hunger older than the trees, older than stone. The lights pressed closer, swaying like attendants at a ritual. Mara turned on Theo. His chest heaved, his jaw clenched, but his hands shook with the weight of what he'd done. He looked less like a man than an animal backed into a trap. "This is your fault," she spat. He bared his teeth. "He was going to kill me." "He wasn't," Mara said. "You let it in, you let it win." Her phone buzzed again, one final time. "Choose who stays." Her throat locked. The fisher groaned. A hand, long, pale, jointed wrong, pressed against the crack from within. The forest shuddered. Leah was on her knees now, clutching Mara's arm. "Don't let it take me," she begged. "Please, I can't. Theo's lamp shook wildly, his breath ragged. "It's her," he said, pointing at Mara. "It wants her. She's the one talking to it. She's the one bringing it here." The light blazed so bright it burned shadows into their eyes. Mara stared at her phone, at the words. "Choose who stays." She thought of Callum. His laugh, his recklessness, the way he'd always been the first to push forward. She thought of his body at the bottom of the ravine, broken. She thought of the message that shouldn't exist, the voice that wasn't his but spoke through him anyway. She raised her head. Her voice came out steady, flat. "It won't stop until it takes someone." Theo snarled. "Then give it her." He shoved Leah forward. She cried out, scrambling back, her ruined ankle dragging. Mara's hand tightened around the phone. She stepped between them, shaking her head. "Not her." Theo blinked. "What?" And then Mara moved. Fast before she could think. She shoved him, hard. Theo's eyes widened in shock as his boot slipped on loose stone. For an instant he teetered, arms flailing. Then he toppled backward into the blaze of lights. The glow swallowed him. There was no scream, only a sound like water rushing into a drain. The fisher groaned one last time, then shuttered closed, the crack sealing in a rush of air that left Mara gasping. The lights winked out one by one, until only their headlamps remained. The forest fell silent. Mara's phone went black, dead. The three of them were reduced to two. Leah sobbed into her hands, rocking against the stone. Mara stood frozen, her chest heaving, her fingers stiff around the lifeless phone. The ridge was empty now. No lights, no fisher, no sound but the wind. But the forest still felt alive, still waiting. Leah's voice broke the silence, hoarse and broken. "We're going to die out here." Mara didn't answer. She stared down at the phone, at the black screen that reflected her face. For a heartbeat, she thought she saw another face layered over hers. Grinning. Callum's. And then it was gone. She slid the phone back into her pocket, turned her lamp toward the trees. "Get up," she told Leah. Her voice was cold, final. "We keep moving." And behind them, deep in the forest, just faint enough to doubt, a light flickered. Thank you for listening. Hope you didn't get too scared. If you want to listen more stories, check out my channel. Please leave a like and subscribe. It means the whole world to me.